Today we're gonna take a look at age and the difficulty of video games. Dark Souls, Super Meat Boy, Cuphead, Doom Eternal, Super Mario The Lost Levels. Do these words cause you agita? Would you rather engage in some vile real-life task than even just watch someone play one of these games? I'm asking these questions because recently I was told by a friend that they returned their copy of Doom Eternal because, quote, it was too hard. This made me wonder, are games really getting too hard? Or are the original gamers just starting to get too old? You see, in the early days of video games, and I mean the stand-up box actual arcade early days, a game had to be a delicate balance between difficulty and enjoyability. Hard enough so you needed to keep popping quarters into it, but fun enough so that you didn't get overly frustrated and just walk away from the machine. I think the game Smash TV is a perfect example of this. It was exciting, engaging, but it was hard. So hard, in fact, that there was a bonus level promised to players throughout the game that wasn't actually built into the machines initially shipped because the design team behind the game thought players wouldn't actually get to the end of the game. When home gaming kicked in with consoles like the Atari 2600, the Odyssey, the ColecoVision, and a whole bunch more, the idea changed. Instead of being difficult to steal your quarters, they had to be fun, easy, and enjoyable to steal you away from the arcade and keep you at home. That fun then fell apart when anyone and everyone was allowed to start making video games for those machines. Nintendo later stepped in with their golden seal of approval, promising that the games would actually be good, so gaming took off again when the consumer knew they wouldn't be wasting their money on a title. That seemed to be when companies turned to really developing their games, making them involved. You didn't need to pop quarters in the machine. You needed to be convinced as a consumer that you could go to the store, part with your cash to pick it up, and it would be good and it would last you a good long time. To make that game last, though, you had to make it more involved, or you had to make it harder, so it took longer to get to the end of the game. That brings us back to the question of the day. Are games actually getting harder? Makes me wonder if streamers and YouTubers are having an influence on this. I'll give you an example. The game GTFO came out on Steam's early access, and a whole bunch of people started playing it. Once it was shown that some of the YouTubers and other streamers could solo big levels, a bunch of changes were starting to be made to the game. So many tweaks and changes have been made in order to make that game harder that I'm thinking about not ever picking it up now. The friend of mine that returned his copy of Doom Eternal said he did so because, quote, it's punishingly hard right out of the gate. And he also, quote, didn't have the patience to repeat the same little bit of game segment 20 times just to get past it. Which, when your time is more valuable than the money it cost you to buy the game in the first place, I completely understand. Hell, that's what this channel is really all about. He ended our conversation by saying, quote, I'm too old for that shit. Which brings me back to the original question behind this whole video. Are games getting too hard for older gamers? You can give us your opinion down below because I don't have the answer. But I truly hope they're not.